Hi, Mommy. Did I wake you up?
You did.
Oh.
Yeah, okay, what's up?
No, go back to sleep.
No, you said we want to go anywhere?
No.
Okay.
You didn't watch the movie.
Oh, okay, I'm watching one of...
No, you're not. You're sleeping. You just told me go back to sleep.
Oh, yeah, but I watched one.
But, Mommy, if you can't watch through without falling asleep, you probably might miss, the message.
Oh, no, I know, but be good. I'll call you back.
Hello, I'm Severin Suzuki speaking for ECHO, the Environmental Children's Organization. We're a group of 12 and 13-year-olds trying to make a difference. Vanessa Seti, Morgan Geisler, Michelle Quigg, and me. We've raised all the money to come here ourselves, to come 5,000 miles to tell you adults you must change your ways. Coming up here today, I have no hidden agenda. I am fighting for my future. Losing my future is not like losing an election or a few points on the stock market. I am here to speak for all generations to come. I am here to speak on behalf of the starving children around the world whose cries go unheard. I am here to speak for the countless animals dying across this planet because they have nowhere left to go. I am afraid to go out in the sun now because of the holes in our ozone. I am afraid to breathe the air because I don't know what chemicals are in it. I used to go fishing in Vancouver, my home, with my dad, until just a few years ago we found the fish full of cancers. And now we hear of animals and plants going extinct every day, vanishing forever. In my life, I have dreamt of seeing the great herds of wild animals, jungles and rainforests full of birds and butterflies. But now I wonder if they will even exist for my children to see. Did you have to worry of these things when you were my age? All this is happening before our eyes, and yet we act as if we have all the time we want and all the solutions. I'm only a child, and I don't have all the solutions. But I want you to realize, neither do you. You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up a dead stream. You don't know how to bring back an animal now extinct. And you can't bring back the forest that once grew where there is now a desert. If you don't know how to fix it, please stop breaking it. Here, you may be delegates of your government, business people, organizers, reporters, or politicians, but really, your mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, aunts and uncles, and all of you are someone's child. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all part of a family, 5 billion strong. In fact, 30 million species strong. And borders and governments will never change that. I'm only a child, yet I know we are all in this together and should act as one single world towards one single goal. In my anger, I am not blind, and in my fear, I am not afraid of telling the world how I feel. In my country, we make so much waste. We buy and throw away, buy and throw away, buy and throw away, and yet northern countries will not share with the needy. Even when we have more than enough, we are afraid to share. We are afraid to let go of some of our wealth. In Canada, we live the privileged life, with plenty of food, water, and shelter. We have watches, bicycles, computers, and television sets. The list could go on for 2 days. 2 days ago, here in Brazil, we were shocked when we spent time with some children living on the streets. This is what one child told us. I wish I was rich. And if I were, I would give all the street children food, clothes, medicines, shelter, and love and affection. If a child on the streets who has nothing is willing to share, why are we who have everything still so greedy? I can't stop thinking that these are children my own age, that it makes a tremendous difference where you are born. That I could be one of those children living in the favelas of Rio. I could be a child starving in Somalia, or a victim of war in the Middle East, or a beggar in India. I am only a child, yet I know if all the money spent on war was spent on finding environmental answers, ending poverty, and finding treaties, what a wonderful place this earth would be. At school, even in kindergarten, you teach us how to behave in the world. You teach us not to fight with others, to work things out, to respect others, to clean up our mess, not to hurt other creatures, to share, not be greedy. Then why do you go out and do the things you tell us not to do? Do not forget why you are attending these conferences, who you're doing this for. We are your own children. You are deciding what kind of a world we are growing up in. Parents should be able to comfort their children by saying, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world, and we're doing the best we can. But I don't think you can say that to us anymore. Are we even on your list of priorities? My dad always says, you are what you do, not what you say. Well, what you do makes me cry at night. You grown-ups say you love us, but I challenge you, please, make your actions reflect your words. Thank you.
When Congress adopted and then Barack Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, tremendous concerns were voiced over the possibility that this federal act would allow the indefinite and rights-free detention of those who are called, quote, belligerents, even if they are American citizens. In a recent response, one state lawmaker in Rhode Island has jumped into action to protect the danger he sees for residents of his state, proposing a resolution to exempt his constituents from sections of the federal law. Republican Representative Daniel P. Gordon Jr. told WND.com that he has drafted a resolution which is now being circulated among the lawmakers of Rhode Island to express opposition to the sections of the NDAA that suspend habeas corpus and civil liberties. Representative Gordon says, quote, given the fact that the constitutions of Rhode Island and that of the United States are replete with guarantees of individual liberties, rights to habeas corpus, and rights to freedom of speech, the offending sections of that NDAA law are repugnant to the sensibilities of anyone that has a basic understanding of the foundation of this country. Representative Gordon went on to say, when I took the oath of office, I swore that I would support the constitutions of Rhode Island and the United States, and before one single constituent of mine is snatched up in the dead of the night without due process under our laws, they'll have to pry those documents from my cold, dead hands, he said. He told WND the problem is made worse by the wording of the law. It's unclear exactly what is a, quote, belligerent person, and who will make that determination. This should be terrifying to all Americans, Representative Gordon said. And indeed, here at PP Simmons, we agree. This constitutional atrocity perpetrated upon the American people by the Congress and Barack Obama is a terrifying proposition. This is the very stuff of which the first American Revolution was made.
They lied about Vietnam. They lied about Cambodia. They lied about Laos and everyone they left behind there. They lied about Cuba. They lied about El Salvador and Nicaragua, Guatemala and Panama. They're lying right now about Honduras, just as they did back in the 1980s and over again, going back 100 years or more. Just ask General Smedley Butler. They lied about the Spanish-American War. They lied about the Mexican War. They lied about Pearl Harbor. They lied about Chile. They're lying about Venezuela. They lied about Kuwait. They lied about Iraq. They lied about 9/11. They lied about Afghanistan. They lied about Iraq. The entire war on terror is nothing but a hideous lie, unless you're the one that they're terrorizing. They lied about bin Laden. This man's lying about everything except about bombing Pakistan. That's one campaign promise he kept. He's lying about Pakistan, of course, but why is he lying so much? I wonder if it has anything to do with these guys. They lied about Libya. Are we looking at prima facie war criminals? It's a dead cert. They're lying about Yemen and Somalia and Sudan. They're lying about Syria. They're lying about Palestine. And they're lying about Iran. Iran is not our enemy. Iran is not our enemy. Iran is not our enemy. War is not now, and it never has been, the answer to any of these alleged problems. Truth is. And the truth is, Iran is not our enemy. Iran is not our enemy. Iran So quickly into a police state. Far from a unique or isolated act, however, the NDAA is just the latest entry in a long list of steps toward the codification of outright martial law. This is the GRTV Backgrounder for Global Research TV. Each year, the United States Department of Defense's budget and expenditures are approved by Congress, which must pass a National Defense Authorization Act in order to fund the DoD. The most recent bill, however, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012, shocked many by containing an extraordinary provision allowing for the indefinite detention without trial of anyone even suspected of providing support to individuals or groups identified as terrorists. Although this represents little change from the U.S. government's modus operandi in waging the so-called global war on terror, many were amazed to discover that this provision specifically applies to American citizens who can now be detained by American military personnel anywhere in the world, including on U.S. soil, and held indefinitely without trial. Perhaps it is not surprising that President Obama chose New Year's Eve as the date to sign the NDAA, as the revelry of the holiday predictably distracted Americans from the event. Particularly remarkable is the fact that this legislation has been almost universally identified as an overt act of tyranny by commentators of all political stripes, perhaps most importantly from sources that have traditionally defended the actions of Obama and his administration.
The ACLU said that Mr. Obama's decision to sign the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, including the controversial detainee provisions, would tarnish his presidency. Quote, President Obama's action is a blight on his legacy because he will forever be known as the president who signed indefinite detention without charge or trial into law.
I will choose in my administration not to indefinitely detain U.S. citizens, meaning another administration can choose to do so, meaning that the bill says, yes, the president has the authority and the option of detaining U.S. citizens without a trial indefinitely. This is definitive. It is not just my interpretation. It's not just Glenn Greenwald's interpretation. As we told you yesterday, the team of lawyers at the ACLU, whose job it is to protect our civil liberties, says that is definitely the correct interpretation, and it is hideous. Now today, more people piling on.
My understanding is that when Carl Levin thought, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, thought in the Senate that the provision for it being applicable to American citizens on American soil was stripped out, the White House had it put back in, which is just dumber than mud. I can't understand how we'd want to go back to Reconstruction days. I mean, that's the last time we destroyed Posse Comitatus.
But this is the White House that thinks that it's okay to assassinate U.S. citizens abroad without due process in the case of Anwar al-Awlaki. So why wouldn't they want that in? Because this is codifying powers that they've already determined they have.
That's very true. Now, on the heels of the NDAA, a new bill is making its way through Congress. The Enemy Expatriation Act, which would make the controversy about the NDAA null and void by simply stripping Americans of their American citizenship should they be accused of associating with government-deemed terrorist organizations.
The bipartisan legislation I introduced this week calls for a pragmatic recognition that a person who is purposefully and materially supporting acts of terror against the United States is demonstrating that they have no intent in acting as a U.S. citizen.
So to be clear, this is not for people suspected, obviously, that civil liberties still exist in this country. It's only upon one's conviction that they would lose their citizenship. They'd likely be spending a lot of time behind bars as well.
Well, there would have to be a complete investigation. There's a standard of clear and convincing evidence. But in the case of Mr. al-Awlaki in Yemen, he has made public statements that have been hostile to this country. He has participated in the operational aspects of terror attacks on this country, involved in Major Hassan. Now, we may never get to a trial with him. He's operating overseas, but there would be an investigation conducted by the State Department to determine this individual is an enemy combatant, a belligerent, and that would be the standard.
What the outrage over the NDAA and now the Enemy Expatriation Act reveals, however, is not that Obama or the current members of the House are suddenly taking the American government in a startling new direction, but that they are in fact continuing to pursue a coordinated policy agenda that has persisted through administration after administration on both the left and right sides of the political aisle for decades.
1864, during the American Civil War, Landon P. Milligan and 4 others were sentenced to death by a military court after they were found guilty of planning to overthrow the state governments of Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. The case reached the Supreme Court after the war ended, where it was found to be unconstitutional for U.S. citizens to be tried in military tribunals as long as civilian courts were operating. This precedent remained intact for almost a century, with the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 further delineating the boundary between the military and civilians by barring U.S. military from engaging in civil police actions, except by act of Congress. In 1942, however, the Supreme Court ruled on ex parte Quirin, a case involving the detention of 8 German saboteurs during World War II and their trial as civilians in a military tribunal. The court ruled that the 8 men, one of whom was a U.S. citizen, could be tried as unlawful combatants in the war, a status applying to civilians who engage in armed conflict during times of war. Unsurprisingly, it is this ex parte Quirin decision, allowing for the military detention of civilians, not the ex parte Milligan precedent, which both the Bush and Obama administrations have relied on to try to assert their authority to detain civilians as unlawful combatants in the so-called War on Terror. In the immediate wake of the 9/11 attacks, Congress passed an authorization for use of military force, which authorized the president to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons he determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks. Less than 2 months later, Bush invoked that authorization to issue a military order declaring that individuals detained in the War on Terror be tried in military tribunals. The administration immediately began applying this order to detainees in Afghanistan, regardless of affiliation. The practice of detaining these enemy combatants at Guantanamo Bay and other military detention centers has been challenged repeatedly in the courts. When the Supreme Court finally ruled in Hamdan v. Rumsfeld that the detainees could not be held as unlawful enemy combatants, but had to be held as prisoners of war in accordance with the Geneva Conventions, Congress passed the Military Commissions Act of 2006, specifically authorizing military commissions for the detainees. In 2008, the Supreme Court ruled that Guantanamo prisoners were entitled to the U.S. justice system, but in 2009, Obama Attorney General Holder and Solicitor General Kagan testified that they believed the government could detain combatants in accordance with the laws of war, thus sidestepping the issue of determining a prisoner's status or their right to trial. Now, the NDAA of 2012 seems to extend all of these precedents and provisions to U.S. citizens. This comes in addition to Peace Prize laureate Obama's stunning declaration that he has the right to kill American civilians anywhere in the world without so much as a trial. Perhaps most worryingly of all, when Obama expressed reservations about the NDAA, it was not because he, as a constitutional scholar, felt the idea of using the military to detain American citizens on American soil was an unconscionable abrogation of everything the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights stood for, but because he felt that the 2001 authorization for use of military force had already granted him this power as supposed commander-in-chief in the supposed War on Terror, which has never actually been declared. Now, many are asking what can be done to prevent this seemingly inevitable slide into overt military control over American citizens and others around the globe. One voice providing an answer to this question is Stuart Rhodes, a Yale Law graduate and constitutional law scholar who founded Oath Keepers, an organization dedicated to informing American police and military personnel about the nature of their oath to uphold the Constitution and how that oath precludes them from participating in acts that clearly violate the Constitution. Stuart Rhodes appeared on Corporate Report Radio last week to talk about the history of the use of enemy combatant status as a legal smokescreen to violate the Bill of Rights, and how citizens can work to reverse the damage that has already been done by the passing of this legislation.
Well, ever since 9/11, it's been the same exact claim of power through both administrations.
something that I think is vital, especially with these times.
African American male. So I'm telling you, parting ways is so important that nothing can take place will buy him this gift. Thank you very much.
Stay strong and never.
I kind of want to bring that to a picture because so parting ways is trying to correct that. I thought I was well read. I had nothing to be ashamed of. When we grew up, we were shooting. We were ashamed of facts of some guys actually were selling to the Continental Army. Nobody really knows who he is, but George Washington needed him to pay the army, to pay Congress.
As a person who established the cadences to which people of conscience of every race and creed and color march in pursuit of peace and justice. That is Martin Luther King's legacy.
Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah.
Amongst all the shrug, not a
Check 9. Have a nigga back, James.
Mind manipulation and the battle for the Bible. As I was sitting in the Newark airport yesterday, that subject just dropped into my spirit. Mind manipulation and the battle for the Bible. When it comes to the science of manipulating the mind, no one has surpassed the skill, the stratagems, the agendas, and the goals of the Euro-Gentile powers that have been and still are today. I'm talking about a people who literally have what we call social scientists, social engineers that work full-time for companies like the CIA, National Security Agency, the NSA, and various other government entities, and their entire job responsibility is to sit back and develop strategies and implement programs in society to manipulate the minds of the masses. The major idiom that is used to manipulate the minds of the masses is something called history. agreed upon. How many of you have ever heard of Winston Churchill, former Prime Minister of Great Britain? Winston Churchill said these words, and I quote him. He said, "History is going to be kind to Great Britain because I'm going to write it." Ain't that deep? History is going to be kind to Great Britain because I'm going to write it. We must always remember that history was written by some very powerful people who have as their agenda the advancement of themselves and not others. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson is one of the most significant works ever published. In this awesome work, Carter G. Woodson says these words, and I quote him, "Every man has two educations." That's what he says. That which is given to him and that which he gives to himself. He goes on to say, of the two kinds, the latter is far more desirable. Indeed, all that is worthy in man, he must work out and conquer for himself, he says. He says, it is that which constitutes our real and best nourishment. What we are merely taught, I repeat, what we are merely taught seldom nourishes the mind like that which we teach ourselves. If you would be honest, brothers and sisters, and sit back and just analyze everything you think you know, you would have to admit that over 85% of what you know is what somebody taught you. What's really amazing to me is how we come to the defense of what somebody said is, instead of what we know to be for ourselves. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded with information. Oh yeah. Now, how that information is presented to us, the accuracy of that information and how it's perceived is literally what determines our perception of reality. Therefore, we must learn to develop what I refer to as critical thinking skills. Look at the person next to you and say, learn how to think. Adolf Hitler once said these words, what luck for leaders that people don't think. Ain't that deep? What luck for leaders that people don't think. You see, brothers and sisters, when you have a better grasp of how to think, you will enhance your own capacity to assume greater control over your life.
Well, that's still true. That's still true.
When you develop critical thinking skills, your mind will not be so easily manipulated. The reason why most of us experience intellectual manipulation and psychological and emotional control by exterior forces and by other people is because we have not developed within ourselves the habit of critical thinking, especially when it comes to church. Nobody controls the mind processes among black folk like the preacher does. And as a result of misinformed, miseducated, misdirected preachers in the pulpit, we as a people are spiritually messed up. Oh yes we are. When you get to the place where you don't take all information literally, you will know how to read between the lines for deeper understanding and to evaluate whatever information is presented to you. Look at the person next to you and say, don't ever stop using your intellectual vigilance. God gave you a mind. Never, ever let your mind be at ease when it comes to what your ears are hearing. One of the ways that, now I'm going to throw this at y'all and see how you grab this. One of the reasons why it's so important for us to try to get a good night's rest is because a lot of times we sit in a so-called learning environment and we're tired. And what happens when you're in a learning environment and you're tired, you start to drift. You know, you sit and your mind does not remain as keen and as sharp. And you'd be surprised, brothers and sisters, how much the mind digests at that state than when you're alert. And it filters into your subconscious mind. That's one of the reasons why, I don't know how many of you ever fell asleep while watching television or listening to the radio. And what's deep is as you begin to do that, you have dreams about what you're hearing on television. You actually experience yourself in the episode itself because your mind is digesting what's going on. Even though you don't think you're intellectually processing it, you're subconsciously absorbing it. Never allow your mind to become defenseless. You need to learn how to exercise intellectual self-defense. Keep your mind clear. The minds of our people, brothers and sisters, have been manipulated into what I refer to as a paralysis of analysis when it comes to right knowledge. Isn't that deep? We don't exercise a paralysis of analysis when it comes to the lie that has been fed to us. We don't exercise a paralysis of analysis when it comes to the things that we were taught that God said and God did not say it. We don't exercise a paralysis of analysis at that point. But in the things that we should exercise a paralysis, not exercise a paralysis of analysis, we do it. We let our mind just go to sleep. We don't analyze. We don't tear it apart. We don't break it down. And then people got the administrative audacity to come challenge you and say, well, how do you know that's true? Isn't that something? We want to get a paralysis of analysis when the truth comes along. But we didn't exercise it when we were eating the lie. We need to examine those things that are designed to keep us enslaved. We need to examine those things that are designed to keep us oppressed. We have failed, brothers and sisters. I got to be honest with you. I did, you did. We have failed to challenge the belief systems and the patterns of thought that control us. Instead of challenging it, we are willing to defend it with our very lives. We're willing to protect the beliefs of our oppressor with our dying breath, even against our own flesh and blood. Think about that. That's the tragedy. You oftentimes hear me to a Jeff say how his mother, when he explained to his mother that, he ain't into the Jesus thing no more. His mother, the woman whose womb he came out of, said, you gotta get up, you gotta get out of here. How many of you have experienced negative retaliation from your loved ones because you no longer hold to the belief system, not that they gave you, but that the oppressor gave both of y'all? When it comes to the biblical text, the minds of our people have been manipulated to the point to whereas there is an automatic built-in self-defense mechanism. However, thank God, thank the ancestors, there is an awakening taking place. There is a stirring and arousing within the minds of many of our people today. The message of the African origins of Western philosophical and religious thought is bombarding its way into our homes, into our automobiles, into our computer terminals. Thank God. Africans whose spirit has reached up into the cosmos. I don't know if it's the spirit of our ancestors and even some of our spirits who are still alive and walking around, but just reaching out into the universe saying, God, come see about us. And God is a prayer answering God. Yeah, there's a song that says, my mother prayed for me. She had me on her mind. She took the time to pray for me. I'm so glad she prayed. And you know what's really deep about that? God knows how to answer our prayers, even if we don't know how to say it the way it ought to be said. That's what I like about God, y'all. Our parents prayed for us. Our parents, in their own sincere and even sometimes ignorant way, said, Lord, help my children. And God has sent this time of awakening for African people in response to the prayers of our ancestors. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Black Africans throughout the diaspora are saying, and I quote, I've been told all my life that the Bible is the Word of God and that Jesus died for my sins. But these same Africans are now saying, but now I'm hearing that the Bible was derived from ancient writings from ancient Egypt. These same Africans are now saying, I'm finding out through my own research that this story of Mary and Jesus was stolen from ancient Egypt, from Set and Heru, or Isis and Horus. Here's the thing, though. They go on to say, what and whom am I to believe? That's what many of our people are right now. What and whom am I to believe? You see, y'all, a new conflict is raging. I know that's right. In the world of black Africans today, the battle for the Bible is in full force. This war is greater than the war in Iraq. in Iraq. This war is so serious because if the Bible loses its grasp on the minds of African people, this world will turn upside down. You see, they are very serious, y'all, with their crusade programs. Their crusades have always been either accept this program of religion or die. Well, that's pretty much what's going on now. That's what the war against Muslims are all about. That's what it's all about, y'all. That's why the white man is fighting Muslims and Islam. Because it's important that their Bible remains the vehicle of control. There are a lot of arguments going on now, even among biblical scholars. Arguments over the original inspiration, over the Greek text, over the English translations. And amid the confusion of theological word battles and personal scruples, many people are crying for answers today because the lies that were fed to them in the first place no longer hold water. Now here's what it boils down to. The question that I'm asked a lot, and this is what it boils down to, is people want to know, can I get hold of God's pure word? That's what folks are messed up at. Now let me explain to you this predicament here. There was a time when our people didn't have to resort to a book to find out what God's directive was about a certain issue. But we have become so Europeanized. The white man has made a list, a code, a standard of do's and don'ts. And many people feel that the more points in this code that they comply with, the more godly they are. Y'all follow what I'm saying? That is not the African way, brothers and sisters. So now that Africans are finding out that the Bible is not what they thought it was. I better repeat that. Africans are finding out that the Bible is not what they thought it was. They're finding out that the Bible is not authoritative. They're finding out that the Bible is not canonical. They're finding out that the Bible is not inerrant. They're finding out that the Bible is not inspired by God. They're finding out that the Bible is not a unique book. They're finding out through their own research that the Bible is, in fact, a literary collection of information that was stolen, copied, plagiarized, represented under a European identity back to black people. Gotta tell it like it is. So now they're at the point of saying, well, and see, this is some deep stuff, because once a person has believed something for so long, and then you reach and snatch what they have been standing on out from under them, the only recourse they have is, well, where do I turn? What do I now read? How can I know for myself the mind of God? got offended by that. If you got offended, look back at him and say it again. African? It's sinking in now. I'm reminding you of where you came from. Don't get offended, because when you get offended, you embarrass your great-grandmama. You insult your great-great-granddaddy, who really suffered and died so you can have a right to life. You need to understand, look back at him and say, African, you need to return to who you really are. Now let me explain what I'm saying, people. If you notice, when we were young children, we were more in tune with the things of God. The older we got, the more educated we became, the more indoctrinated we
Misery when I see enemies, niggas be Timothy. Homicidal to the seas, got me bang niggas on bitches knees.
Can it be that a nigga wanna bang, cause I'm running with a gang that'll give a nigga pay me and Mac James, giving these bitch niggas a taste of misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Shit, I switch word into the curve with his ace. This nigga might be twisted, but bitch, we got this shit. Misery nigga, so what you giving me? Nigga, nothing but whispery, nigga. A millimeter to kill, I bow down to a nigga right now for the sound. Hold up, nigga came to the club and he found us. All behind a nigga back trying to down us. I don't want a nigga real live around us. You the only super bandit, nigga. I'm a killer on candid. Second nigga, I'ma be the omega, believe I'm dead. Bomb that landed on your set, cause you call me Satan. When I look at you, I see skull chips dipped in ranch dressing, living chicken with a side of intestines induced vomiting, backwards digestion, torn ligaments with ragu, garlic sauce meshing, enormous hole in the ozone to affect my complexion. Frontal lobes fried in Weston, nigga like me sick, no need for no medicine. Bishop and King, you better believe you gotta leave before you get a couple in your belly. Keep a better strip in the whole of the city. Bishop keep doing songs with R. Kelly. Mentally, you niggas can't even get with me. I done lost everything but my chemistry. Back in tech would be hotter than hickory. Killer delivery, living in misery.
Misery when I see enemies, niggas be Timothy. Homicidal to the seas, got me bang niggas on bitches knees.
Can it be that a nigga wanna bang, cause I'm running with the gang that'll give a nigga pay me and Mac James, giving these bitch niggas a taste of misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery.
Can't see misery, leave unsolved mystery. So fuck around with my head of cheese, better leave these G's alone. When me and my nigga taking to hit your home, split your dome with the boat on. Make a nigga face melt like the ozone. In the mind of a psycho, what goes on? Till a nigga next time with no clothes on. Murder shows on in the K-Town. Almost have a nigga that'll beat your ass down. Shoot you in the face as soon as you hit the ground. Hit a nigga, split a nigga to give you a pound. 32 rounds, packed in extended. Crossing my niggas is not recommended. Tempted to put you in a lifelong body cast. You best guard your shit when it's shoddy blast. Most straps that John Gotti has. So sick I sleep in the body bag. Pumping bombs like Saudi Ab to get low when the lack on poppy tags. Talking trash and get you took out. Both niggas posted just to look out. Get grim like Chris and have a cookout. Let me show you niggas who bigger than quick bout. Thieving, scheming, seeking demons. Smoke so much you kill your semen. Psychoactive human being. I so low I look Korean. Head steaming, phone friggin'. Old school robbing, gangsters leaning. Danger check 9 tag teaming. Leaving all you back sleep. Misery when I see enemies. Niggas be Timothy. Homicidal to the seas. Got me bang niggas on bitches knees.
Can it be that a nigga wanna bang, cause I'm running with the gang that'll give a nigga pay me and Mac James, giving these bitch niggas a taste of misery.
Misery when I see enemies, niggas be Timothy. Homicidal to the seas, I miss bang niggas on bitches knees.
Can it be that a nigga wanna bang, cause I'm running with the gang that'll give a nigga pay me and Mac James, giving these bitch niggas a taste of
misery.
Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Give them misery, bitches get with me. Everything got MAC, give them misery. Yo, shout out up, click, knock it up.
any storm, earthquake, even CERN, the collider, they have all these colliders where they're trying to look into and create black holes and vortexes and time travel and all that stuff. And those are man-made, but there are natural vortexes. Now, what we came across is a vortex. Parting ways is a vortex. Now, normally, churches and cathedrals and federal and state buildings or homes of famous people are built on these vortexes because of the energy that they're just discovering that the planet has.
Yeah.
Okay? But these people that are have this ancient knowledge, technology, I should say, because it's dealing with the resin of electrical vibrations and sound and light. This is the level that they were on and we're on today. We went full circle. Only we thought we come up with we're the scientists.
Right.
They got us believing that we're the scientists. We know what's going on. They're all over the place and up in space and underground, and we don't know nothing about it. All we know is billions and trillions of dollars, and we're in debt, and our kids are slaves. We don't know. We're on the low level of information. You can only judge by the information that you have. Now, in the vortex, it's like this. Up at the top level, on this side of the world, this reality, it's like looking in a mirror. You raise your right hand, everything on that side is doing the same thing, but you're seeing yourself the opposite, the reflection, the reverse. You follow? Somewhere in the aperture of the eye, of the light coming in and neurals creating an image. You created an image of yourself. You can comb your hair this way, and you can fix your eyelashes that way, but you created this image over a lifetime that you've been working with. And you think that's you. You think that's you. But now, what is a mirror? Asked Alice and the rabbit. Let's go down that rabbit. What is a mirror? Right? Now, when you speak to yourself as you're combing your hair, you hear a voice talking to someone. This is on a website that you can find linked to PVeridian.net. If you look, you can see an image of who you think you are. And if you was to record those thoughts, like on a tape recorder, using your voice, you wouldn't recognize your families and slaves. It doesn't sound like your voice. It sounds strange to you. Can't vote. That's not my answer. But everybody else will say, "Oh yeah, that's your voice. I hear it on the phone all the time." That sounds like you. You'd be saying, "No, I sing better than that. I song better than that." No, that's your voice. But you are thinking you're the image that's been all your life, all through your whole ever left cradle and ring of life is you. But it's not. The alchemy involved with putting in that glass and the chemical mirror of the painting of the metal, nickel-like metal, was part of what they call the looking glass, or the in Disney had the witches had a mirror on the wall, and it was King Arthur looking into the reflection of the lake, and all these myths are not myths; these are ancient stories that go way back to a time that we don't supposed to know because we don't have that information. They have the information as they go, or let's say, as people are born, their children have carried the DNA through their information, through their DNA. So, and they're taught how to bring it out as a child, or more or less, all from the cradle to the grave, how to understand these stories and these histories, these legends, these science, these facts, and the importance of the secrecy. Now, most people, let's say 98%, is somewhere on a level of Christopher Columbus discovered America. Because they don't relate to each other. Black History, and also coming up 2012, government, state, and all these people that have come across We're on a flow. And all these organizations that have all the money and power,
worldwide revenue,
they still haven't given up on one dime. You know, they haven't done one
cosmic wave
that actually helps these fathers regain their position in the community as fathers. And
they were Portuguese. Portugal comes from the word port or port. And that's what's happening when you stand in front of a mirror or when you fall asleep at night. You have to distinguish, or you can't tell the difference between a dream and awake. When you're dreaming, you in your dream, it's real. In your wake, it's real. Okay? But you forget or can't remember what you did in that third state, in the mirror, in the dream. The same with the mirror. You can't remember what you was thinking and thought of as you combed your hair and talked to this other entity who is in another dimension, perhaps time and space. That sound better?
Yeah.
In another parallel. You walk out the door, you're no longer Eddie Johnson, you're Eddie from ABC Disposal.
Right.
You're a different person there, boy. That is not going to be natural Eddie who did the talking. Now, the one who did the talking in the mirror, or the flying in the dream, or the solving the great mysteries in the dream that you had, but you can't remember how or what. That person is in another portal, went through another gate, another dimension, wormhole, call it what you want in time and space, but it's real. Okay? When you put on the costume, you now become possessed. No, bad word. Your light energy, that person that took over you in the mirror, that has trained you from cradle to grave. When they first put the monitor to your brain, your pineal gland, and to monitor your heart, and told your mother, this is for your health, and this is protocol. You got to do this. You got to do that. When mother knows, and grandmother taught her, mama taught her, she knows when it's time to break the water, not when the doctor says it. She knows what's going on. But she's been told all her life that this is what you got to do. And everything that they're doing to you is putting you into an alter, the guy in the mirror. The alter state, the guy in the dream. Where the baby no longer, or the person no longer remembers. It's going through a trauma, a blockage of natural flow, and becomes not possessed, but shares that natural, that body of this dimension, shares it or possesses it with you, goes everywhere with you, does everything with you, influences you. You brought it with you, and have been for hundreds of years. Trust me on this. I can prove all this stuff.
No, I believe
it. It takes time. So now here we have opened up a portal, 5 little stones, up in a place called New Guinea. A family, the Cape Verdean.
Well, let's take that as a topic. Yeah.
Well, that would be great. That's what we'll do when we make and sell this ebook. We're going to get an ebook, Eddie. We've got to get an ebook and sell on the web page for funding, because you cannot expect the help we need financially in my world. Mm-hmm. All right? Because the money is not gold and silver. In fact, the people that I'm in communication,
spend.
The people that I'm not
get the resources we need.
The people I'm talking about are already making silver into gold and can sell you a kit and instructions how to make silver into gold. Indistinguishable. Take it down to the shop. They'll test it for you. It's pure gold. Make silver into gold. It's already possible. It's an ancient knowledge that's been found out through these artifacts, carvings, bones, and caves that are being discovered under these churches and these cathedrals and these castles and these Freemasonic and Celtic structures that are all over the world. A lost knowledge that would go back Atlantis and Lemuria or Mu and before Noah's all the stories, India's, all these past were other times. They were real. other spaces. They were real. The legends, stories and stuff, they were real. But hidden in a matrix called history.
Right.
For thousands of years, just their people knew how, had enough information to realize that the world wasn't flat. And I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to go out on that boat and I'm going to keep going, because this map is telling me, go there. Go there. This is, get a boat. And boom, I got a boat. Get the money. Boom, I got the money. I talked to so-and-so. I met this guy and he told me how to do it. This comes together like building a pyramid. Not through something that earthly. This is from wherever the source. Return to the source. It was, I don't think it was Cabral's term. I think that come from the Barboza side of the family, that logo. Back in 59 and stuff, when they put together the independence with Portugal.
There's no accident it was Cabral and Barboza.
No way. And I can go back. Barboza's involved in so much, not different variations of the name. In Germany, in Russia, in ancient Samaria, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the Bible, the name means nothing. It's the sound resonance. The sound resonance that the vibe makes. If I says to, what's your mayor's name?
Mitchell.
If I said, Mayor Mitchell, hi, my name is Wayne Barboza. I'm a good friend of Eddie Johnson. What happens? What happens, Eddie? Sit in my chair, please. What happens, Eddie? When I say Mayor,
in this case, it like you said, the vortex is there. This mayor would respond to you with all dignity and respect.
Okay, now I go down to parting ways, and here's the
selectman.
The selectman. We're dealing with powers and principalities, and a part of our brain that we have tapped into that is beyond this dimension. And we can do it in the trick to the mirror is to realize there's one image in the mirror. If you look real close, in the eyes of that person that you're talking to is another person that's you, that you recognize. So you're going two-dimensional images that way into the mirror. And you're speaking and thinking. You can identify both of them. But who is standing there? It doesn't have a body unless you look away and create it. The same point takes place when you go to sleep. And when you die, if you want to call it dying. To me, dying means, your dying means going under a stone and a name placed there, boom, that's it, that's the end. You can come once a year or whatever have you, ceremony. And they've been doing that life for a long time, killing us, dying. What happened to the DNA in the blood? Your people and stuff, you got these huge monuments and stories and paintings. And here we just die. And little stones hidden in the woods. Something's wrong. And now why? Because is it a vortex where the ceremonies that were taking place with the Sons of the American Revolution, it's too hard for me to believe that they don't know. And if they do know, then we need to get more from them than what the heck they're doing. They're only doing what we request. It's, okay, look, with every image that...
I agree.
Okay, now, if, in fact, they don't, if they're not listening to the man in the mirror, if they're not listening to the person that gets up in the morning, who remembers what they dreamt. Will you ever get up in the morning late?
Oh yeah,
Go
happens
pee.
all the time.
All right, you think you gotta go pee. Maybe you do gotta go pee, but why all of a sudden you can't hold it when you was holding it all the time? You was in a nice dream, but now you gotta get up. What made you do? And then you can go all the way to the bathroom, pee, come back, and sometimes get right back into the same dream. What's going on if it ain't much different from the man in the mirror or the reflection in the pool, whatever, or Nostradamus staring in a bowl of water, or whatever methods these wizards or these magi's use. They have nothing on us. They have nothing. The entire, okay, give you an example. All the mysteries, all the paranormal, the UFOs, the secrets, the stuff that's happened means nothing to what we're going to make, what we can create. Hello? Well, don't run in there. Oh, okay. Well, that's all right because he already passed. I'm gonna call the people come get him. Well, ain't gonna happen. We're all right. We're all right. They ain't gonna happen. Okay. Be careful. That feminine energy balanced with the masculine energy, there's nothing impossible.
That's the way I feel about it now.
Oh man, but see the thing is, one has to submit to the other. It can't be that. And they both got to rise at the same. You don't know how a scale works. All right? If I've outgrown many wives or many women because they didn't keep up with that. Like I told her, you're 3 DVDs behind. 7 days ago, you could go on your computer and watch any of my videos you wanted to, and you knew how to do it without any help. You stopped and put it off for 3 days, all right, which was a job or whatever, but you just stopped going on there. 7 days, 8 days, 9 days. Now you don't know what to do. Your computer's all screwed up. You can't use it. You're lost. Now what happened? You can't understand or cannot grasp the forces that are at work there unless you are spiritual. You understand what I mean? If you're not spiritual and you're all this world and you're tied up in jobs and politics and all that, you cannot influence your own spirituality. Somebody else is already tapping it. That person that went to work, or that person that went to the meeting, or the person that went to the job, or whatever it is, they school. But there's one that keeps telling you, I'm not going to do that this year. This year I'm going to college and I'm going to take a course on this, or whatever the fuck, but you do something different. That's what you got to capture. When you're in that dream, test it. Pinch yourself. You want to know you're awake or asleep. Pinch yourself. Test your dream. And if you like it, stay there, Eddie. Wake up there. Wake up there, do your planning, and guess what? You'll be in a flow. And everything, zippity-doo-dah. And because the spirit, you're in the wave of the spiritual, a spirit in which you, the source. Well, you ride that wave. You see, and anything around you, and remember the ports that you stop in that wave, or the satellites or positions that you stop, are only going to be events that you created. You don't, the storm come your way, you know how to ride that storm. You can push that motherfucker and steer it if you wanted to. You can do anything spiritually if you have that knowledge of your spirit, because that's your sixth sense. That's the part of the brain. They done put chemicals and everything to keep your pineal gland from producing that melanin. Because if you produce the melanin, you're going to start to remember your spirituality. Everything will start going more important than money, more important than the power, more important than the news or whatever, more important than the job. Things spiritual will start kicking in. Now check this out. Here's God up there, ain't got nothing but himself. You're very happy with that. Did a good job. Created this. He loves it. She loves it. The source is very content. How else could it be any greater? I mean, unless it reproduces itself. Then it can love itself even more. The more it expands, the more it can love itself and create and experience and so forth. Share and so on. That's the wave that's coming. That's the wave that's already here. I'm sorry about that. I have to take that back. It's 2012. And this is the year that because trust me, under that same principle, I can catch Obama in a dream and whisper in his ear. I can catch you. I can, like Karen, I proved it to her with the number of that on. She'll tell you, if she tells you that story, it's just uncanny. That's not possible. Wake up with the numbers of something that you hardly touched, and you may have seen it once or a second, and months later you remember the number verbatim, all of them, on a stone that after watching a video, and she had just got through watching the video of the Sacred Feminine, in the name of the secret name of the Holy Mother, was Karen. That just blew her away. Hebrew, Quran. Arabic, Quran. Oh, wait a minute, what's that mean? I said, Mommy, you saw the whole show. I wish I could have seen that. I wish I saw what flashed in your mind when that happened. That's yours. But I made it for you so that you could see. Now you can share it with me. Tell me what you see. What it? Well, that's true. Whatever, and it's molding her into the matriarch of what's becoming. And I believe this with all my heart. 51% of America is biracial. Then the leaders don't get voted in. They don't get picked. Leaders just do their job. I'm doing my job, and there's people that are going to come out of here. This new American race, skin color is like that checkerboard the game's played on.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking dividing line. You understand? Now, right now, the ancient thing they call the looking glass is a cube, a black cube. Anyway, the people that get a hold of it they can project into time certain parts of it. They have been doing this shit since Area 51 started. In fact, when I was over there, it was called White Sands, New Mexico. And once you get out there, it's all secret. Nobody talks about nothing. But before you go there, Eddie, they just fucked my mind up. Man, I got memories that just don't click. As though it fucking wore out. In fact, I remember the day I got my teeth all pulled out, I was a totally different man again. I'm no longer King, Priest, Moose, or any of those people before, or any of those people after. Yeah. I'm now grandpa,
Right.
I step into another age and dimension and so forth, etc. And there's no chip in my filling. There's no more filling there that's been there since the Army.
Right.
I'm seeing things totally different now.
Yeah.
My memory's coming back, and I'm on the fucking. I don't have to go to work. I'm retiring. I'm not going to do this or whatever have you and so on. What's important? I only got so much time to wake up and get my shit together. And I've been doing this since I retired, which will make the posting of the video January 1st, 2008. January 1st, 2008, I produced another video. And what does it show? It shows a new home base called Planet Cedar, which comes from a global communication or contact with an alien there, Mike from Sweden, he's in his own world. If he came over here,
another wizard, huh?
Exactly. He, trust me, Robert, the one that really runs the site.
Mm-hmm.
He's like my boy now, but I only see his picture. He only sees mine. But if you look at the comments and the notes, and you start realizing that we're working together, and what we're doing on Planet Cedar is fucking up YouTubers. It's fucking them up big time. Now YouTube has to give you 2 hours if you want 2 hours. YouTube has to come up with another way of stopping you from posting your video, or you go to Planet Cedar. And they were hitting Norway with all kinds of viruses and stuff, but these people up in Norway said, hold it, we got laws in this country. You can't fucking do that. See, so what a base of operation. In fact, that's where where's Romney's money? Sweet coincidence. Where's all the money? Where's the Nazis' money? Where's Venezuela's money? Where's all the money, the gold and the wealth of this world? So wouldn't it make sense that they don't want no prying eyes? The whole population go underground. They've been building long back in the 50s while we were building walls and destroying. They were building underground for the people's shelter. Instead of an army, they gave the guard to the Vatican. They got a deal going with the church. What's the church doing? They're building underground, and they're looking up in the stars and telescopes and listening, because they have the knowledge that was put away and hidden underground. There's people living underground, don't have a clue. It's up there.
Like, I didn't know there was 39 miles of underground archives at the Smithsonian.
Brother, there's more when you look at a tree, and this is what George Washington, remember the cherry tree? This is what this true thing is about. When you look at a tree, what you see above in leaves and branches, there's more below.
Yeah.
It cannot sustain above without the matching below. Embedded in the earth. Tree is the perfect creation. It's more perfect than us. We will one day be a tree. Right now, we're in this form. We have these senses and these feelings and so on. But when we evolve, it's going to be just straight to this, just the way trees grow and do their thing to make the oxygen for all, support life. This is a cycle that's very well known by these demon-ass motherfucking Luciferian satanics, Vatican, Kabbalists, you name them. There's so many. Even today, new ones are being created by a young generation that have no affiliation to the root. Now, today, what was it I was catching it on here? A Jamaican brother, the one that does the Ethiopian Gothics, Aramaic teachings, remember? I'm talking about the dreads and so on. And he was talking about the Ethiopian, more or less, let's put it this way. He's the brother that's in the street, the African American, that is divided from white. He's the ex-slave, now resentful, unemployed, hip-hop thug, typical what we see every day in the street. 4 months out of 4 years, they actually work a job. The rest of the time, no job. But yet they have cars, they have homes, they're living with, and helping some family, working together. The two manage to do what other people are doing. Now, who's this over here, Eddie? This is Linda.
That is Linda LeGay. She was a past president of Parting Ways, and she is the person who paid for this sign to be put at the Parting Ways site. It was arranged by the Plymouth Selectmen and their representative, the town manager, the assistant town manager, and the assistant to the town manager for the Board of Selectmen. They did this because they had no choice. And even though Parting Ways, as the legitimate nonprofit organization that represents these four black Revolutionary War veterans, as well as we are the legal entity responsible for the Parting Ways site. No one else.
Okay, well now let's back up a little bit, because see, this happened on what date?
January 16th, the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, and that was intentional.
You and I, both board members, and have been for a decade or so, we know that we're the only officials of that board.
As well as Frankie and Joy Andrews, who worked with Dr. Dietz and was a part of the excavation there in the archaeological digs.
Okay, but see, what we're doing is dealing with the show for Black History Month, and we got all that on our 200 videos of work we've done. What these people seem to be doing is pimping or using this black woman to and old white members or Caucasian members from that were on previous boards to give the impression that they are the board, and that land is going to they're part of it. In reality, they have not been nothing but.
Well, in their original design for the program, you're absolutely right. That was their intentions, but they did not. What they did when they announced that this was going to occur on January the 16th, who they announced it to was one of the largest papers in the country, the Boston Globe. They did not announce it to the Old Colony, which is the local hometown paper, because by doing it that way, everybody who had any connections to Parting Ways, including the Andrews family, Joey and Frankie, who's on the board of the Parting Ways Museum of African American and Cape Verdean American Ethnohistory Incorporated. We are the official board. I'm president, you vice president, Frankie is treasurer, Joey is a board member, and our advisor happens to be Wendy Legay. That is the board of Parting Ways, have been so. We are incorporated under Secretary of State William Galvin, as well as we have a federal ID number as well. We are the board of directors of Parting Ways. So no one else can represent us.
So what are these people trying to do with this by contacting the Boston Globe and not contacting us? And the only way we found out about it was through the Boston Globe reporter telling us an email before it happened.
Again, you're correct, but these are the reasons for that. They are in a legal entanglement with the Parting Ways Museum Board, which is us, and they did not want to speak out, and what they did was called mitigating the circumstances, because the state, the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, based upon a complaint of our organization, is investigating them at this point. They know, in all likelihood, they are going to be found against the town of Plymouth for more than 30 years of intentional, deliberate indifference, as well as outright discrimination on a National Historic Landmark site put on the U.S. Department of Interior's National Register of Historic Places in 1979, declaring 1,016 acres of National Historic Landmark land, where 4 black veterans, and there is a 5th grave, we have yet to discover who that 5th grave is that is sitting in this prime location in America's hometown of Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Okay, now we spent enough time, a decade or so, putting out all kinds of information where there was none. Now you can find this information on Wikipedia or Google it. Mostly any history channel or educational public access or college has this information through us. As far as I know, we're officially recognized by the Department of Interior as partingways.org and the Museum of Afro-American Ethnohistory Incorporated. Now, there's been, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of time wasted with the politics and so forth, and we spent all of 2011 trying to get over the legal issues and so forth. There is a discrimination taking place, but in 2012, I don't think we have really the time to keep playing this same game over and over. So the legal issues will work themselves out. In the meantime, there's a beautiful sign there. However we got it, through Linda, we got to bless her ancestor who passed on and somehow managed to get some funds to us, because there would have never been any funds otherwise. I don't think any one of those people in the picture, and I see, was it Benny Messino, the baker?
Representative Benny Messino,
right.
Cape Verdean.
None of them have ever donated.
Republican from Plymouth and has been elected for quite some time.
None of them have donated a dime. Not a dime. I have never seen a penny come out of their pocket. They've been there for pictures. They've been there for political reasons. They've been there for whatever their agenda is. But in all these this whole decade that I've been working with you, they have not given up a penny. Now, you put your money where your mouth is.
That's quite an interesting remark, Musa, because you're right. On January 16th, the people that were there, they were the power base of Plymouth, from the selectmen of Plymouth to Representative Benny D. Macedo, to the Bakers, Peg and her husband, who is on the Plymouth
Jim Baker.
Peg and Jim Baker, who's on the Plymouth Historical Commission. As Peg is the retired director of the Pilgrim Halls Museum. They know history, undeniable history. However, not the Historical Commission or the town of Plymouth, this is also Plymouth's history, have ever put up a dime of concerted effort to represent and respectfully honor these veterans.
And they blocked every effort that we have ever
Absolutely.
tried to. They've been there to destroy all the work we put in. Everything that we ever done has been complicated through them.
But on January 16th, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, they made an indelible print that it is a point of no return for them. They officially, from the town selectmen to town representatives, from planners, historian, Dr. Barry Melter from the No Place for Hate Committee and was a former advisor to Parting Ways, these power brokers and power base were there for the recognition collectively for the first time since
But not for us.
Not for us.
They were there to pimp, use, play, control, whatever, the black history of Plymouth and America.
Yes, and they wanted to look good for Black History Month, which is 2 or 3 days from now.
That's hypocritical as I've never seen so much hypocrisy like I'm seeing in the Parting Ways conspiracy.
No matter how much hypocrisy they have done, Musa, one of the things they can't do, you can't deny the true facts and credible evidence. And it has reached a level where it has never been before. It has reached the black president of the United States.
How do we know that?
We know that because in 2002, Congressman Barney Frank, regardless of your political views of Congressman Barney Frank, stood by us, sent a letter to Bill Clinton, who was the president at that time. President Clinton recognized Parting Ways. But during the period after Clinton, with 8 years of George Bush, we've got vice presidential recognition there. We also have Maurice Barbosa, who is the president and CEO of the Liberty Fund in D.C. That is an outfit dedicated to establishing a national monument for black Cape Verdean, Native American, but in particular black Revolutionary War veterans. Maurice is not only a gifted historian, he's an attorney by trade. He is the president of the www.Liberty Fund DC organization, and he is the link that is assisting us in Washington with Senator Kerry, the White House, and other congressmen and senators. We need that kind of support, and we are doing what is right, what is credible, what can't be denied here in Massachusetts. And for the years of your and my partnership, we took this where no other people were willing to take this. And I want to give credit to Professor Everett Hoagland, poet, laureate, retired professor from UMass Dartmouth, and was a part of the original Parting Ways group, for sticking by us, supporting us, dedicating written materials such as poems, giving that at the New Bedford Whaling Museum among the Cape Verdean ambassador at that time, Jose Brito, and the Cape Verdean government. We have reached recognition from the Cape Verdean government to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts government to the United States Congress, including the House of Representatives and Senate, and now President Barack Obama. It is up to Barack.
Okay, now this is where the two major parties in this whole thing, me and you, have a little issue. Like I said, I test everything. You got to put your money where your mouth is. Up until this date, which is January 28th, 2012, nobody has given a dime towards our project of redeveloping
except Linda LeGay.
All right, and she's done it through the inheritance of a spiritual black woman up there in Plymouth who has and embedded in the daughter the importance of parting ways.
Absolutely, both her mother and her father.
In spite of the differences we may have,
right?
It's in the spirit and soul of black people. At this time of the year, you got black people over here. This is our mother, and they talk. And here we got history that sits there dormant, year after year after year, in the schools, dormant, not taught in the schools. Here we got the founding fathers not mentioning the presidents of the country, the presidents, congressmen, senators, even the leaders in the local towns, keeping this secret. Why do you suppose that's so, Eddie?
It is so because so many politicians, as well as so many business interests, including real estate interests, including developers' interests, have been able to use political muscle in Washington to make billions of dollars in development, as well as taking of land that did not belong to them, that belonged to the citizens of the United States, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the world.
Somewhat of a coup.
Somewhat of a coup.
And that's basically what they try to pull, a coup.
The history that you and I, in particular, I want folks to go to www.capeverde.net. That.
Now, who's this over here, Eddie? This is Linda.
That is Linda LeGay. She was a past president of Parting Ways, and she is the person who paid for this sign to be put at the Parting Ways site. It was arranged by the Plymouth Selectmen and their representative, the town manager, the assistant town manager, and the assistant to the town manager for the Board of Selectmen. They did this because they had no choice. And even though Parting Ways, as the legitimate nonprofit organization that represent these 4 black Revolutionary War veterans, as well as we are the legal entity responsible for the Parting Ways site. No one else.
Okay, well, now let's back up a little bit, because see, this happened on what date?
January 16th, the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King, and that was intentional.
You and I are both board members and have been for a decade or so. We know that we're the only officials of that board.
As well as Frankie and Joy Andrews, who worked with Dr. Dietz and was a part of the excavation there in the archaeological digs.
Okay, but see, what we're doing is dealing with the show for Black History Month, and we got all that on our 200 videos of work we've done. What these people seem to be doing is pimping or using this black woman to and old white members or Caucasian members from that were on previous boards to give the impression that they are the board, and that land is going to they're part of it. In reality, they have not been nothing but.
Well, in their original design for the program, you're absolutely right. That was their intention, but they did not. What they did when they announced that this was going to occur on January the 16th, who they announced it to was one of the largest papers in the country, the Boston Globe. They did not announce it to the Old Colony, which is the local hometown paper, because by doing it that way, everybody who had any connections to Parting Ways, including the Andrews family, Joey and Frankie, who's on the board of the Parting Ways Museum of African American and Cape Verdean American Ethnohistory Incorporated. We are the official board. I'm president, you vice president, Frankie is treasurer, Joey is a board member, and our advisor happens to be Wendy Legay. That is the board of Parting Ways, have been so. We are incorporated under Secretary of State William Galvin, as well as we have a federal ID number as well. We are the board of directors of Parting Ways. No one else can represent us.
So what are these people trying to do with this by contacting the Boston Globe and not contacting us? And the only way we found out about it was through the Boston Globe reporter telling us an email before it happened.
Again, you're correct, but these are the reasons for that. They are in a legal entanglement with the Parting Ways Museum Board, which is us, and they did not want to speak out, and what they did was called mitigating the circumstances, because the state, the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination, based upon a complaint of our organization, is investigating them at this point. They know, in all likelihood, they are going to be found against the town of Plymouth for more than 30 years of intentional, deliberate indifference, as well as outright discrimination on a National Historic Landmark site put on the U.S. Department of Interior's National Register of Historic Places in 1979, declaring 1,016 acres of National Historic Landmark land, where 4 black veterans, and there is a 5th grade, we have yet to discover who that 5th grade is that is sitting in this prime location in America's hometown of Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Okay, now we spent enough time, a decade or so, putting out all kinds of information where was none. Now you can find this information on Wikipedia or Google it. Mostly any history channel or educational public access or college has this information through us. As far as I know, we're the officially recognized by the Department of Interior as partingways.org and the Museum of Afro-American Ethnohistory Incorporated. Now there's been, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of time wasted with the politics and so forth, and we spent all of 2011
trying to get over the legal issues and so forth, there is a discrimination taking place. But in 2012, I don't think we have really the time to keep playing this same game over and over. So the legal issues will work themselves out. In the meantime, there's a beautiful sign there. However, we got it through Linda, we got to bless her ancestor who passed on and somehow managed to get some funds to us, because there would have never been any funds otherwise. I don't think any one of those people in the picture, and I see, was it Benny Massino, the baker?
Representative Benny Massino,
right.
Cape Verdean.
None of them have ever donated.
Republican from Plymouth and has been elected for quite some time.
None of them have donated a dime. Not a dime. I have never seen a penny come out of their pocket. They've been there for pictures. They've been there for political reasons. They've been there for whatever their agenda is. But in all these this whole decade that I've been working with you, they have not given up a penny. Now, you put your money where your mouth is.
That's quite an interesting remark, Musa, because you're right. On January 16th, the people that were there, they were the power base of Plymouth, from the selectmen of Plymouth to Representative Benny D. Macedo, to the bakers, Peg and her husband, who is on the Plymouth
Jim Baker.
Peg and Jim Baker, who's on the Plymouth Historical Commissioners. Peg is the retired director of the Pilgrim Halls Museum. They know history, undeniable history. However, not the Historical Commission or the town of Plymouth, this is also Plymouth's history, have ever put up a dime of concerted effort to represent and respectfully honor these veterans.
And they blocked every effort that we have ever
Absolutely.
tried to. They've been there to destroy all the work we put in. Everything that we ever done has been complicated through them.
But on January 16th, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, they made an indelible print that it is a point of no return for them. They officially, from the town selectmen to town representatives, from planners, historian, Dr. Barry Meltzer from the No Place for Hate Committee and was a former advisor to Parting Ways, these power brokers and power base were there for the recognition collectively for the first time since
but not for us.
Not for us.
They were there to pimp, use, play, control, whatever, the black history of Plymouth and America.
Yes, and they wanted to look good for Black History Month, which is 2 or 3 days from now.
That's hypocritical as I've never seen so much hypocrisy like I'm seeing in the Parting Ways conspiracy.
No matter how much hypocrisy they have done, Musa, one of the things they can't do, you can't deny the true facts and credible evidence. And it has reached a level where it has never been before. It has reached the black president of the United States.
How do we know that?
We know that because in 2002, Congressman Barney Frank, regardless of your political views of Congressman Barney Frank, stood by us, sent a letter to Bill Clinton, who was the president at that time. President Clinton recognized Parting Ways. But during the period after Clinton, with 8 years of George Bush, we've got vice presidential recognition there. We also have Maurice Barbosa, who is the president and CEO of the Liberty Fund in D.C. That is an outfit dedicated to establishing a national monument for black Cape Verdean, Native American, but in particular black Revolutionary War veterans. Maurice is not only a gifted historian, he's an attorney by trade He is the president of the www.libertyfunddc organization, and he is the link that is assisting us in Washington with Senator Kerry, the White House, and other congressmen and senators. We need that kind of support, and we are doing what is right, what is credible, what can't be denied here in Massachusetts. And for the years of your and my partnership, we took this where no other people were willing to take this. And I want to give credit to Professor Everett Hogan, poet, laureate, retired professor from UMass Dartmouth, and was a part of the original Parting Race group, for sticking by us, supporting us, dedicating written material such as poems, giving that at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, among the Cape Verdean ambassador at that time, Jose Brito, and the Cape Verdean government. We have reached recognition from the Cape Verdean government to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts government, to the United States Congress, including the House of Representatives and Senate, and now President Barack Obama. It is up to Barack.
Okay, now this is where the two major parties in this whole thing, me and you, have a little issue. Like I said, I test everything. You got to put your money where your mouth is. Up until this date, which is January 28th, 2012, nobody has given a dime towards our project of redeveloping.
Except Linda Legay.
All right, and she's done it through the inheritance of a spiritual black woman up there in Plymouth who has and embedded in their daughter the importance of parting ways.
Absolutely. Both her mother and her father.
In spite of the differences we may have.
Right.
It's in the spirit and soul of black people. At this time of the year, you got black people over here. This is our month, and they talk. And here we got history that sits there dormant, year after year after year, in the school, dormant, not taught in the schools. Here we got the founding fathers not mentioning the presidents of the country, the presidents, congressmen, senators, even the leaders in the local towns, keeping this secret. Why do you suppose that's so, Eddie?
It is so because so many politicians, as well as so many business interests, including real estate interests, including developers' interests, have been able to use political muscle in Washington to make billions of dollars in development, as well as taking of land that did not belong to them, that belonged to the citizens of the United States, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the world.
Somewhat of a coup.
Somewhat of a coup.
And that's basically what they try to pull, a coup.
The history that you and I, in particular, I want folks to go to www.capeverdean.net. That Wayne Musa